Hello everybody, my name is Last Night I Dreamt, and today we are going to be cooking. We're going to be making taco shells. Not taco shells, but taco shells, as in these kind of shells. Here's the recipe, although we will not be doing most of that, actually. The only thing that we're looking for this recipe is actually the beef part of it, and then maybe a little bit of the pan part of it, because for this recipe, what they want us to do is to take the beef mixture and take these big old shells and shove it in the shells and then bake that. We're not doing that today. What we're gonna be doing is actually making more of a casserole, because I am white and I like casseroles. It's easier. And also, that's a whole lot easier to just put down some stuff, put down some beefaroni, cheese, whatever, and then you don't need to worry about doing the whole like grabbing the hot stuff, putting it in more hot stuff, and then making it even hotter in an oven. So I'm not doing that today, but I will be still using most of the same ingredients. So for this recipe, we need ground beef. Make sure it's thawed, because if you're using frozen ground beef, you're a menace to society. Next, taco seasoning. I found this at the store and I was like, ooh, taco seasoning, and it's even from Taco Bell, everybody's favorite authentic Mexican restaurant. Next up, you're gonna need 6 ounces of cream cheese. This is not 6 ounces, so we're gonna have to chop this up somehow or another, and it doesn't measure it in ounces, so I'm gonna have to guesstimate a little bit. And we have our pasta shells, generic brand from the local store, because I support local businesses like a good person. Next up, we need shredded cheese, and I have Colby Jack, but you could use Mexican blend or cheddar. It really doesn't matter, just shredded cheese to add some of that pop. And of course, Doritos, everybody's favorite snack. We're gonna crush it up and crinkle it on top. You could use the Cool Ranch, you could use any flavor you want. You could even use plain tortilla chips, but I like these, and I'm gonna have these outside of the cooking video. I'm just gonna be eating and munching on them in general, so I got ones that I liked. Now, the next thing we need is taco sauce. And I have sriracha, which is not taco sauce. Give me a minute. So we're literally driving to the store because I don't have taco sauce, nor do I have salsa. And those two things I need desperately. I will die without them. The recipe will not be complete without taco sauce and salsa. So I need them, okay? Don't judge me because you think, oh, you're literally going to the store for 2 freaking things? Absolutely, yeah. Why would I not? I gotta go to the store to get the freaking taco sauce and salsa. All right, so now we have some medium chunky style salsa and some hot sauce from Taco Bell. Apparently, Whispering Pines, which is the grocery store that I go to, it's a local little Amish Mennonite type of store. It's actually really quaint and super duper cheap, especially if you can find stuff in the Bargain Barn, which is like their clearance section for food. And they have like new stuff in there all the time. And it's great for like finding new snacks and stuff to try out. It's actually fantastic. It's like my favorite store. And it's not a huge corporation like Walmart, and great prices, great new stuff to try out. But anyway, they got stuff from Taco Bell, apparently. So the first thing that you're gonna wanna do is get a big pot of water, and then you're gonna wanna boil it. I had this pre-boiling just a little bit while I was recording, but I turned it off because I'm like, I'm going to the store and I can't just leave this unattended. So we are boiling water. Next thing you want to do is preheat your oven to 350. So the next thing you're going to want to do is get a big deep pan right here, and you're going to want to turn on your burner. So now that's getting nice and hot, which is what we want. So what you're gonna wanna do here is you're gonna open up your ground beef. Wow. How about we let's actually open it up. There we go. All right. So you're gonna want to put your ground beef in there so it can brown. Delicious. This recipe is vegan friendly, everybody. So no worries there. Everybody can eat this. This is definitely 100% vegan. So you're just gonna stir up your ground beef just a little bit. Get it nice and into chunks while it browns. Now this is what you want your water to be looking like. That is a nice boil. It's not a simmer, it's a boil. Now get your Delicioso shells and you're just gonna pour a nice, healthy amount, all of it. Just put it all in there. Yeah, that's what we want. Now don't forget to stir your pasta. If you forget to stir your pasta, you're gonna end up with weird chunks. This is especially true if you're doing like spaghetti or angel hair or any sort of thin, long pasta. You gotta be stirring it. Another thing a lot of people like to do is add a little bit of salt to your pasta. I don't know what this is for. I just know people do it. I don't know if it's for seasoning really or if it's just for like, I'm fancy. But I'm gonna do it. So I've salted my pasta. And another thing you really want to remember to do when you're cooking pasta, after you strain it, do not forget to put oil on it so that your pasta does not stick to one another. Now that our pasta is cooking, we can kind of let that go. It'll take a minute since it's a lot of pasta and a lot of water. So we're just gonna focus a little bit more on our beef here. As I said, don't forget to stir your pasta while you are also cooking your beef. This can be a hard task for somebody who doesn't know how to multitask, but for somebody who doesn't know how to stir pasta and cook beef, I'm sorry for your loss, because I think you're probably just dumb. Cooking is not difficult. All you need to do is literally Google something and be like, oh hey, there's a recipe, and you can just read instructions. It is not difficult, my guys. Cooking for yourself, making nice home-cooked meals, and learning about yourself, really. It's a philosophy. You have to learn how to appreciate the art of cooking, and after you've cooked your own meal, it's so much more satisfying to eat it and be like, I made that. I got those ingredients, and I put it together, and I put it on my plate. Because I'm a fully functioning adult, and yep, that's it. You are an adult if you know how to cook. Cooking is important. Do not forget, guys, you have to learn how to cook. Otherwise, you're going to be a useless sack of crap. You need to know how to cook. Cooking is important, especially for you guys. You gotta know how to cook. Every woman will literally love you if you know how to cook. So just learn how to cook. Also, women, you should also learn how to cook. It's just a useful life skill. I mean, for the guys too, it's a useful life skill, but also it's good for attracting ladies. Ladies, comment down below. Tell me I'm right. If your man knows how to cook, he's like at least 10 times more attractive. Anyway, back to the cooking. It seems like our beef is browning up real nicely. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the taco sauce. Seasoning, sorry. So all we need to do is tear that sucker open and we're gonna add just some taco seasoning. It's gonna be delicioso. I'm very excited. This is one of my favorite dishes, I gotta be honest. This is one of those dishes that was introduced to me by my fiance and her family. It is one of my favorites, and I will never stop eating it because it's so good, and it's also very easy. It's only a few ingredients really, but it just, ooh, it's delicious. Alright, so you're gonna measure out your cream cheese. I don't know if that was exactly the right amount, but I'm just guesstimating a little bit since this doesn't have any sort of measurements on the package, and I don't really feel like measuring out 6 ounces. So I'm just gonna guesstimate. Hopefully that's enough. We may add more, but if you're not exactly sure about something, put less in than you think you need. because then if you need a little bit more, you can always add it. It's much harder to take cream cheese out of ground beef than it is to put a little bit more in. So just, if you're not sure, just don't put too much in. You can always add if you need. Like right now, I don't think this is enough cream cheese. I gotta be honest. I think I'm probably gonna add a little bit. So like, oh God, that almost missed. We're good, we're good. Everything's fine. Oh, and don't forget to stir your pasta, guys. Delicioso pasta must be stirred. You gotta put love and attention to detail in your food. Otherwise, it'll turn out like crap. Be aggressive with your food sometimes too. You gotta assert your dominance. You gotta be like, hey, you know, who's your daddy? You gotta be mean to your food sometimes because it's inanimate objects. You know what I mean? You can't really be mean to it unless it's already, you know, if it's like still alive, then you should probably still, you know, be nice to it. You know, like if you're, you know, you have a live cow still and you know you're gonna make burgers out of it, you should probably be nice to it while it's alive. You know, respect the animal. Don't be mean to it. You know, treat it humanely. But once it's dead, you know, sometimes you just gotta, you know, give it a good old schmack. But respect your food, you know? Treat it with respect, but sometimes you just gotta, you know, just give it a good old, you know, give it one of these. Yeah. Alright. So that looks pretty good. Not gonna lie. That looks pretty tasty. I'd eat that right now. You know what? I actually might. I'm gonna give it a little taste test, see if it needs any more seasoning. All I taste is the cream cheese. I think I may have added too much. So I'm gonna add a little bit more taco seasoning. Just so the flavor really just hits, you know? I really want that really, really strong taco flavor. Although the sauce and the salsa is gonna add a little bit more taco flavor, but the meat itself is, you know, that's the meat. You gotta have it have its own flavor. Because otherwise, how are those flavors gonna compete? You can't just have an overwhelming flavor of just cream cheese. That's not really taco-y, I gotta be honest. That's very American. It's not Mexican. We want a very authentic Mexican dish with Italian pasta. Come on. Let's give it the old taste test. Yeah, that tastes a little bit more like taco. We are going to be a little excessive. We're going to put a little bit more on. Okay, that was a lot of bit more. But yeah, we're good. It's all good. A little extra taco seasoning never hurt anybody. It's not poisonous if you have too much. And we got to remember, guys, stir your pasta. Every once in a while, just come over and be like, hey, are you guys doing good? Just check up on your pasta every now and again. We're going to give it the old, whew, that's hot. But it does seem to be getting very close to being done. So I'm going to go ahead, whoops, let's just stir you up a little bit more. We're going to put you on low so you don't overcook, because overcooking your pasta can be deadly. Alright, so the next thing you're going to want to do is strain your pasta, because as it is cooking, you know, it's eventually going to be done. And obviously you don't want that water in your food, so you're going to get what's called a colander. Whoa, Jesus. You're going to get a colander and you're going to just pour your pasta in there and try not to get any in the sink. We may need a bigger colander. Or strainer, as some people call it, but, you know, to each their own. Oh, Jesus Christmas. For those of you with glasses, I apologize for your inconvenience. We're just going to move that out of the way. And, alright. Okay, so, you know, just generally, oh, Jesus. Just generally try and get the water out of the pasta, and then you're just going to, you know, kind of shake it. Oh, shit. I lost some noodles. I mean pasta. Alright, put it back in your container here, and if you lose any noodles, it's okay, just put them back in your thing, it's fine. Alright, now don't forget the most important step. You take your oil, just generally douse it up in some oil, so that way your pasta does not stick, because everybody knows sticky pasta is foul. Alright, let's give it the old taste test. It's going to taste very oily, but we're mostly looking for texture here, not taste. That's a good texture. Okay. Now we're focusing a little bit more on our beef. We're going to go ahead and turn this off because it looks about done, which is what we want. Now, the next thing you're going to want to do is grease your casserole dish so it doesn't all get stuck to it. So what you want to do is get one of these kind of things. This is very similar to Pam. So what you're going to do is just spray the inside and the sides, don't forget the sides, not just the bottom, of your pan. All right, so the next thing you're going to want to do is take your salsa, get your spoon, and just put a little bit of salsa on the bottom, like so. So this is your pan with your salsa. And this acts as a little bit of flavor as well as a little bit more of a barrier from the stoneware, because you don't want your pasta just sticking to it, because that would be really nasty. So you're gonna have your salsa be a little bit of a barrier. Shit. All right, so the next thing you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna get all of your shells and you're just gonna slomp them in there. In the recipe, what they do is they have these big old shells, basically like the size of a small fist. And then they just take the taco meat and put it in the shells, so they're like stuffed taco shells. They're pretty good, but I don't want to do that, so I use these smaller shells. And we're just gonna very generously put all of the shells here on like the bottom layer. Next thing you want is your taco meat. So your taco meat, you're just gonna scoop it and put it in there with the noodles. Don't worry about your noodles like shifting around or anything. You just want to get it all in there. That's the biggest thing. Try and spread it around quite a bit so that it isn't just like all noodles in one spot or all taco meat in one spot. You really want to get it nice and mixed together, because otherwise, you know, you're just going to have a big old bite of noodles with no meat, or just meat and no noodles. You got to have them together. You got to have a good balance of these yummy, delicious flavors of taco meat and pasta. So that's all of our taco meat. So we have quite a bit of noodles remaining because we got way more noodles than we did taco meat. So we're just gonna go ahead and just generously put the rest of the taco shells on there. All right, that looks pretty good. We didn't use all of our noodles, but that's okay. We're just gonna go ahead and stir all of this kind of generously together, just because we want the flavor of the taco meat to kind of penetrate these shells a little bit, because otherwise you're just going to get nasty oil tasting shells. We want these things to be very mixed. And to add a little bit more taco flavoring to your pasta, I'm going to go ahead and just add the rest of this. Okay, maybe not the rest of it, but I'm going to add a little bit more taco sauce, taco seasoning on top of this stuff, and just stir it around a little bit more. God, that smells delicious. I am also very hungry, so this is not helping. All right. That looks pretty good, honestly. I'm pretty happy with that. So the next thing you want to do is get your taco sauce and just generally pour a little bit on there. Not too much, don't go too crazy, but we want to just get some taco sauce on there. That smells so good. All right, so the next thing we want to do is cover this and bake it. All right, so the next thing you're gonna need is some Reynolds wrap or any sort of, tin foil. You're gonna get enough to cover this thing up, like so. And then you're gonna let this bake for 30 minutes. So what you can do while you're waiting for this 30 minutes is put away your leftover ingredients. So the only things we need at this point are the chips and the cheese. Everything else you can put away in the meantime. All right, don't forget a hot pad for this step. We're going to take our casserole out of the oven for a quick second here. We're going to uncover it. Oh man, look at that beautifulness. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our shredded cheese. And we're just gonna spread it. You don't need to get too much. You don't need too little. This is kind of to taste. You can do it however you want it. If you like more cheese or less cheese. I'm not a super cheesy guy, but I do like a little bit of cheese. Next up, you want to grab your Doritos or tortilla chips, whatever you chose to get. And you just crunch them up in your hands. Or you can do this in some sort of bowl or in between two plates or something like that. And you just want to crunch them up into little, like a fine powder, really. And just, sprinkle it on top. And try and cover everything. You don't want to be too sparse with it, but you also don't want to go too heavy with it, because these can stab you in the mouth and it kind of hurts. So don't go too crazy with this part. All right, now that you got your cheese and your chips, you're gonna put it back in the oven for another 15 minutes, but you're gonna leave it uncovered. And this is gonna really crisp up that cheese and those chips and just make everything really nice and tasty and give you that texture that you really want. So again, in the oven for 15 minutes. One thing you can do while you're waiting for this 15 minutes is wash up the pots and the pans and the utensils that you used, and that way you don't have to do a whole lot of cleanup after the fact. Now, if you're only doing one pan, you don't need a whole party size of Doritos or anything like that. You could just get like one of those little personal bags. That's probably enough to get you a nice crumb covering. All right, it's been 15 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and take it out now. Oh yeah, listen to that sizzle. Now that's some food right there. I tell you what, don't be fooled. I'm not gonna eat this right off the bat, okay? You're gonna wanna let this cool, all right? This is extraordinarily hot. So don't eat this right off the bat. Let it cool for a couple minutes, make yourself a drink, go play some video games, watch another Last Night I Dreamt video while you wait for this to cool down. Now, one thing you can do to help it cool down a little bit is just dish it out, because having it spread out is going to help cool it down. The cold air can get to it a little faster. If you just leave it in the casserole dish, it's gonna retain a lot of the heat. So to help it cool down a little bit faster, especially if you make this kind of ring shape, it really exposes a lot more area to the coldness of the outside air, cooling it down faster. And of course, everybody's favorite, blowing. Now, let's take a bite. Very hot. When you really get some taco meat in there, oh, that's good. When you get some Doritos, you gotta get like cheese, the Dorito, and the actual pasta itself all together. Otherwise, it's not that great if you're just getting one of the flavors. You really gotta mix it all together and get that little hangy bit. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. Oh, damn. That's good. All right, that was my version of taco shells. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching. Leave a like if you want to see me do more cooking videos. And as always, I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Damn, that's good.